said earlier with the drama, when you remove the emotion and also making things up, bringing it back to truth and facts.
Right.
Yeah, I guess when certain things that we're used to are taken away from us, we're forced to look at it. But why wait till we get there?
What's crazy?
If we don't have to.
What's crazy is I will watch somebody at the gym running on a treadmill, and it looks so incredibly effortless.
Right.
And they're doing it second nature, and they have no idea how fantastic the human body is and how unbelievable what they're doing is, because they don't know what it's like to not have it. And
that really puts in perspective for professional athletes too, when you see some of the feats that they do.
But just the human body is such an amazing machine, and I don't throw it in people's faces. I just beg them not to take their health or their body for granted. And just
so you don't bring a bag of wrenches to the gym and throw it at people or anything.
No. You can duck a wrench, you can dodge a ball. No, don't do that. But it's just I try to impress upon people, because what's funny? I show up to a gym and I get the funniest look. People are like, "What is a guy in a wheelchair doing in the gym?" Like, the guy's in a power chair. What's he gonna do? And then they see me, moving and doing the things that I do. And I've had people come up to me and go, "Man, I was thinking about not coming to the gym today, and I just saw you." And I'm like, I'll never tell myself. There's no excuse in the world why I can't. That's
right.
Cool. So if I can inspire people just by showing up, I should probably show up.
How amazing is that? So do you, besides your own book, do you have another favorite book? I mean, is there something that you would recommend
that I quote often and hold on to? Rockefeller Habit was a big one, just about priorities, data, and rhythm. Setting priorities, getting data to measure your progress towards those priorities, and then rhythmically setting dates and times to revisit those priorities and revisit that data. That was, again, in a nutshell, if you boil it down to that, and then they have the one-page business plan in there and all that good stuff,
of course,
that you can boil down. But just, I think as a business owner, you look for those things where you can grab bite-sized chunks, and all the self-improvement recordings and books that you read, they don't matter unless you internalize something. They really don't. And
you take action.
And
right?
you got to put it into action. And I think that was one of the ones where I grabbed onto it, and it makes sense, and you can implement it, make it easy to implement, and it makes a difference. You get everybody rowing in the same direction, and you have measurements that everyone looks at. They know what those measurements mean, what they're for, and you do it on a rhythmic basis. And move mountains.
Sure can. Well, that's what you've been doing for a while.
Yeah,
moving mountains.
My pastor says God has put a lot of mountains in your way, but He's made you an excellent mountain climber. So I'd love to have like a valley or two, maybe a meadow. But I am with
the birds chirping, a little slight breeze.
I'm a well-equipped mountain climber, and I don't fear those mountains like I used to. We strap on the gear and start climbing. Great example of that was my father passing last April. I lived through a paralyzing accident, built the business. What could be worse? Keep your head down and you move. You take action. And then I got another great saying I love to say: if you're stewing, you should be doing. And if you're grinding on something and you're feeling hopeless and things don't seem to be going your way and you're anxious, you're in that state of stewing. That's your mind telling you need to be doing something, and you need to break down. Okay, what am I stewing about? What is what is the one step that I could take today that's going to make me feel like I'm making progress? And how do I make that one step? And
does progress make you happy?
That's
do you think progress equals happiness?
That's what makes me feel better. I mean, on a day-to-day basis. I'm talking on a day-to-day basis. What makes me feel good is knowing that I moved, the football down the field. Right? We made some progress today. And what I have discovered in my journey after the accident is what brings me true joy is giving. Giving brings me true joy. Sharing my message, sharing faith, sharing the lessons that I've learned after my accident, that brings joy. And whether it's a simple one-on-one with somebody, it's crazy how many people are just naturally curious. They'll look at me and in a chair, and then they'll see me pull myself up and stretch my legs, and they'll go, "Sorry, I have to ask what happened." And I see that as an invitation. That was one of the reasons that I was kept on this earth was to tell my story. And I'll say, "Oh, I was paralyzed in a motorcycle accident, and fortunate. Here's what happened. I'm in a business now." And 9 times out of 10, somebody has struggle in their life that they can relate to, and they'll well up. They'll start crying. It happened today. I was at the city of Henderson with a meeting with their economic development office, and the receptionist asked me that very question, and she started to tear up. And I said, "Man, I didn't mean to make you cry." And she said, "My husband has MS. And he is at the point now in the progression of his disease that he needs to be in a wheelchair, and his pride is getting in the way. He won't get in a wheelchair. Therefore, he had to stop working, and he won't go out of the house because he's too proud to be in a wheelchair." And that opened up a whole 20-minute conversation about how people, and your modesty goes out the window, and you have to ask for help and gladly accept that help, and you're surprised how willing people around you are to help you. And as a victim, quote unquote, of an accident or a disease, you have to be the hope. This disease is not happening to you; it's happening to everyone around you. This accident just happening around you, and you have to give those people permission to know that you're going to be okay, and that together we can get through this.
For sure. And that's as you said, sharing the story, it's impactful to people who haven't been injured, and then with people who are injured, I can imagine it's just got to be crazy inspiring. I mean, this is what we do as humans, right? We love stories so that we can try and relate, and we especially like people who overcome insurmountable odds.
Yeah, everyone has a struggle. Everyone has a struggle.
Yeah, that because we all have struggles, so they want to hear. There's hope.
Yeah, it's all proportional. Like mine was, obviously an extraordinary struggle, but what I've come to realize is everyone has a struggle. It's all relative. You can't judge their struggle. You can't go, "Boy, geez, try being paralyzed." That you can't say that. Because whatever they're struggling with is their struggle, and if your story can somehow help them relate. And overcome their struggle, then more power to them. And I'm happy to share my story and whatever wisdom they can take from that. And God bless. You don't need a 6-set DVD collection of how to do stuff. It's there's a couple.
Let's work.
It doesn't happen on its own, and there's no magic formula. There's a couple things. It's a mindset. It really is a mindset. And I'll call back to the effort and attitude is probably absolutely the number one thing that you control is effort and attitude. The other thing that I would say is very often we ask, why is this happening to me? If you change that preposition, why is this happening for me? There is a lesson. There is a lesson in adversity, and when adversity strikes, you understand that and you ask yourself, okay, what's going to be the lesson? I'm going to learn a lesson. And you start looking for that lesson, it makes that adversity less intimidating. You say, okay, there's a lesson to be learned. I'm going to be learning something as we get through this. I can't wait to see what I'm going to learn. That's a huge, huge paradigm shift in your mentality.
Yeah, right. It's just reframing by changing
one word. Why is this happening for me? Why is this happening for me?
Yeah,
because I have come. I expect when adversity strikes, you have to come to expect there is going to be a lesson.
With all that said, how do you want to be remembered?
My dad used to say, you have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror every morning. And what they will remember you by is not the amount of money you had in your account when you died. It's how you lived your life. And I'll boil it down to one very important word: integrity. My reputation is probably the most important thing to me. And for 21 years now doing business here in Vegas, I don't think there's anyone that would say a bad thing about me. They all say he's a good guy, he's a straight shooter, he's honest, and that's what I want to be remembered as. A good guy that was a straight shooter, that was honest, that was willing to help people, and made a little money along the way, and a creative thinker, and a guy that walked the path less traveled once in a while, and probably stubborn, and probably a little frustrating at times, I'm sure, as my ex-wives can attest to. I'm no saint. I am fallible, but I'm willing to admit that. But hopefully I made people feel good along the way, and gave them something to hold on to, and encouraged them when they needed it, and made them feel good about themselves.
There's no doubt. So, Scott, where can our listeners who want to hire you for speaking to their organization or wherever, how do they find you?
This is the shameless plug part of the question. I really appreciate this part.
This is shameless plug, yeah.
It's very simple. My name, Scott Alan Frost, and I love the middle name because I feel like I'm in trouble, but I'm actually not. My parents blessed me with this name, ScottAllenFrost.com. ScottAllen, Frost, all lowercase, .com, ScottAllenFrost.com.
ScottAllenFrost.com. And is there any speaking gig that you'd say is too small?
No. As far as crowd goes, no.
Yeah, as long as there's
but honestly, I'm really happy to share my story, and not too picky. If you're receptive and it's in a setting that is conducive, I'm happy.
Do you have anything left to add before you get back to work?
I'd like anyone that is fortunate enough to listen to this. MJ, you're one of the most genuine human beings on this planet, and I hope that they continue to listen to your message as you develop your voice and you realize your impact on this world and your place in this universe. So I would encourage everybody to tune in and continue to listen to this podcast, and go out there and just be good humans. This world needs more good humans, people that are optimistic, people that are willing to help, people that are willing to understand that life is more than dollars, more than status, more than what you're wearing, it's more than the car you drive. It's about how you treat your fellow man, and that makes the world a better place. So people concentrate on that.
I would have to agree, and thank you for those kind words. It's been an honor not just talking to you, but knowing you this long, and all the times that you've inspired me in the past, even before you had an accident. So that's why I was really happy that we're able to talk, and we got to ask some questions that are important to me. And as always, you never cease to amaze me. So Scott, I really do want to thank you, and everyone who continues to listen, this is somebody who should have a large stage